What's good, people? No better way than better ways. Second video on this channel where I talk about my insights and perspectives on this journey that some call Brahmacharya, some call semen retention, some call sexual discipline. You get the gist. And I wanted to talk today about the fact that there basically is no point with engaging in fights that you cannot win. What I mean by that is that what's helped me along the journey is realizing that a lot of what we call discipline, when it comes to it, is based on pattern recognition. Once you're able to take a step back and identify your patterns, it gets a lot easier to deal with all of this because you understand how to either push through or actually navigate around these patterns. And one of the most common I've encountered on this journey was the idea that after some point in time, I was pretty much kind of immune to the content. I was pretty much immune to the desire and actually, I could look at a few pictures. I'm not gonna, it's been, which now that I put it in perspective, it sounds, I don't want to say stupid because it's not. The thing with this, what we're dealing with, we gotta remember it's a super stimulus, meaning it's made to hijack your reasoning. It's not made for you to be kind of too rational about it when you're engaging with it, because it basically taps into one of your primal instincts, which is to seek reproduction and seek intimacy and receive it from the opposite sex. And we have gotten to a point where it's gotten to a point where you have so many different factors that come into play. You have the ease of access, you have the seemingly never-ending novelty, because it's an industry, so it's always going to kind of pump out new actresses for you to get interested in, or some new kind of a fetish. And it's like you have all of these people putting on the VR headsets. You have all of these people, and it's free as well. It's like, it's free, readily available, very accessible, and constantly pushing out novelty. So you gotta keep in mind, bro, if you are on a streak, and I don't really like to talk about streaks because ideally what I figured out about conquering this is like pretty much the same when it comes to diet habits and physique and getting your sleep in check. You're dealing with, your way out of it is a complete identity shift from someone who uses and is dependent to someone who, corn has no relevance in their life. It's not even something you're fighting. It's something you're detached from. And what I mean by saying what's the point of starting fights you can't win is that you always feel like if you get to like 4 months, 3 months, you can get into this kind of dangerous zone where now you're comfortable, where now you think you've done enough, it's happened to me countless times, this idea that I know better, I can just watch it for 15 minutes and click off the sites. And it's like, why would you even watch it for 15 minutes to begin with? Why would you even re-enter a situation that you've been so desperate to leave? why would you re-entertain something that you were so desperate to get away from in the beginning? This is how you gotta remember, like, we tend to forget about our early motivations. We tend to forget about the pain of the beginning and the shame and the guilt and everything that's kind of been dropped onto us when we first encountered this vice, for lack of a better word, because it's an absolute, I don't want to say net negative, because if I'm being truthful, I was able to learn a few things from watching so much, and it's like, well, trying to kind of transfer the stuff you see in the movies to the bedroom, and seeing that it's sufficient. But then again, you don't even want to be in this place, because you don't want to be intimate with a woman and feel like you're performing over connecting, because this is really what it's about. The people you're watching that I don't know, I don't think you have a union. Like, it's a very sacred thing, if you get what I'm saying. People might think like, oh, it's casual. There's nothing casual about intimacy. There's nothing casual about intercourse. And although the people that are doing it on the films might not necessarily care about one another over the fact that they're just going at it or that they're getting paid for it, a bond is being created between them. So it's a very sacred thing, whether they want to like it or not. But anyway, I'm going off tangent here. Going back to what I was saying, there is if you're addicted to anything, it's going to be very difficult to go from addicted to the illusion of moderation, especially with stimuli as strong as this. Because remember, this is not normal. This was never meant for your brain to conceptualize. This is literally having your mind firing on all cylinders. So it is not something this is not something that was designed for you to use with moderation. And how it kind of tricks your brain is that it gives you this idea that it's always going to be, especially when you get into this kind of too comfortable place of like, oh, it's been 4 months, I can probably just do it for like 10 minutes and click off, and I'll have to release. And this is how it works. This is the problem with this, is like the fix you think you're getting from it is never going to be enough for your brain, because it's not a real fix. It's actually getting it's getting you back into the machine, and the only thing that is going to result from that is that the fix you think you're getting now is planting the seed for the next fix you're gonna need. And it might not be today, it might not be like in 2 days, 3 days, but there's going to be a point where your brain, you might get stressed out, or shit might happen, external circumstances, you know how life goes sometimes, shit might happen, and you'll find yourself in a vulnerable position. And if you don't really have the right tool to regulate and self-soothe, your brain is going to look for what's familiar. And if you've been dealing with this for a while, it sounds appealing and familiar to your body. It sounds like something that could help you regulate, and this is the trap. Because now you're in a position where it's like, oh, I'm gonna just watch it and be like, just feel the feelings, feel the energy for 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes turn into 30, because your brain is also very fond of novelty. and you might stumble upon shit you've not seen 4 months prior, and it's like it keeps feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding, and all of this from starting from the idea that you are going to watch for 10 minutes. And even if you're able to watch for 10 minutes, you still validated, like, you still signaled to your physiology that this was okay. When I'm feeling stressed out and I'm alone at home, or I have a moment to myself, you still signal to your composition that this is a viable option to pursue and seek as a stress response, which is not what you're trying to do if you're going to shift from someone who is using this to someone who's free of it, who's completely detached from it. And that this illusion of control, this illusion of the idea that someday you get to a point of mastery where it's like you can just watch it and not be reactive, is an illusion, and it's always going to keep you stuck in the same cycle of seeking. Because if you really had mastered this energy and really had mastered the pattern recognition and the hindsight and the understanding of what you're actually dealing with and how it affects you, you couldn't consider it as a viable option. So it's like you're not even considering it as a possibility. And why I talk about pattern recognition is because when you're actually feeling this idea kind of building up inside your brain, when you're feeling it all your body, when you're feeling kind of the rush, the desire to, hey man, what if I actually just turn the computer on for 10 minutes and actually, this is exactly the precise moment where I believe it's important to do anything else, literally anything else, to signal to your composition that no, this has been harmful. I've noticed it. You might have lost sleep, you might have lost confidence, you might have lost a lot more than that, because it's a profoundly spiritual thing, you know. This energy, it's an energy of creation. It's something you can use. I know you probably have heard this a million times, but it's true, bro. This is why you've heard it, bro, sis, whoever's watching, because I know a lot of women are actually dealing with it as well, probably a lot more than we think. But it's like you realize, okay, so this is something for me to reroute, and the pain that you're feeling in the moment is your signal to actually tell your body to go into a different direction. And sometimes it might you might need to sit still for a while, or sometimes you just need to listen to some music or go for a walk, and a lot of people see this pain, this frustration as an invitation, as a problem, as, oh, I'm not strong enough, I might just give in. That's quite the opposite. Knowing that you're not strong enough to deal with it is the reason why you shouldn't engage with it in the first place. Do not start a fight you cannot win. Do not play a game that you know is rigged, because you're going to entertain something that was designed and refined and is constantly refined to hijack basic functions. And I know that it's a very rational thing to say to someone who's addicted, but there's a reason why recovering alcoholics, some of them, it gets serious to a point, and I didn't know this before. One of my friends told me that some alcoholics, and maybe a lot of alcoholics, after they recover, they can't even wear perfume. Why? Because there's alcohol in the perfume and your skin absorb, and it's like it's a signal to your skin to kind of activate these old pathways even after you're recovered. Why would it be different for someone who's recovering from sexual immorality addiction? because this is what it is, like the equivalent of it. And it's like we like to feel like because we do it by ourselves and we're in our rooms and it's in secret, the equivalent of that, like the real life equivalent of that, and which is, and it's crazy to me because you're actually tricking your brain into thinking you're actively participating, whereas the true equivalent of that real life would be you sitting in the corner of a room watching two people go at it and enjoying yourself. You're not participating, but your brain cannot make the difference, but your heart can, which is why you feel the guilt and the shame, because this is not something you would normally do. But the distance created by the screen creates an environment where it's like, it feels comfortable, it feels like stress relief, it feels, and more importantly, it feels familiar, and you do not want to stay in this identity where this is familiar to you. So do not engage, because this was made to be stronger than your willpower. If not, you probably wouldn't have been dealing with it for as long as you have been. Me personally, bro, it has been like, I'm great now, but bro, it's taken me 17 fucking years of trial and error. 17 fucking years, my G. And it's only recently that I really like understood how this recovery process works. It's not about being able to control it. You do not want any fucking thing to do with it. You do not. It's like if it was a relationship with somebody you knew, you would have to cut them off. You wouldn't have to be like, I know for a fact that every time I entertain this person, it feels great in the beginning, and then I go home and I'm drained. I go home and I'm like, brother, why the fuck did I hang out? Why the fuck do I keep hanging out with them? And it's like your mind just forgets, because you're getting so flushed with the package, basically the appearance. Pause. You're getting flushed with this idea of how it looks perfect, it looks appealing. It has to, because the best traps, the best tricks, they need to be very well designed. They need to look like everything you would want. Like a mousetrap is going to be as efficient as the bait. So if the bait is really like, you even have the thing that's even worse, you have the option to pick your poison. You are given the opportunity to choose the bait for yourself. And this is how it keeps on tricking you. You have so much, I want it, and I want it exactly how I imagine it. But at the same time, I want the novelty. But at the same time, I want to be surprised. But at the same time, I want to keep it going just because I can. There's no room for moderation in this. There's no point in entertaining the idea of moderation with something that was built to get you addicted and keep coming for more and more and more. So that's the reality of it. It's not about mastery, it's about detachment. It's like this energy, when you feel it, it's got nothing to do, like in your new identity, the way you relate to this energy has nothing to do with how you used to do it in the past. That's how you got to see it. You got to find new ways, you got to find new channels for whatever it is you're feeling, and you're building this identity from this. So you got to be able to recognize the frustration and the pain and the difficulty you're feeling as an opportunity for growth and recreation, and actually shifting into the person that is free from all the shit you used to do. So yeah, that's kind of what I had for you today, and hopefully you got something out of it. I'll probably be posting a lot more regularly on this channel, since the first video has not really been as active, but I felt like I had an interesting piece of information to kind of share today. So every time I'm in the mood for that, I'll make sure to act upon it, and I encourage you to do the same. You know, this might be a better use of your time, starting a YouTube channel. And even if you're not making the videos public, if you want some kind of a diary, or to keep a trace of what you're doing, then do that. Literally do anything else. Don't fight. There's nothing to fight in your new life. It's just freedom. So yeah, take care, and I'm sending you hopefully all the support you need. Be well.